What is going on, everybody? Hey, this is a special edition, a special live for those of you that are in the 75 Hard group. This is the Wednesdays, 12 Central Standard Time. We go live in the group called The Forge. Most everyone in the group is traveling today, or they're sick and feeling under the weather. So I'm going to come in and basically teach the concepts that we're going to talk about today. Our book of the month is The 5 Love Languages. And I just want to kind of highlight some of these key points. And then next week, we're going to have the group coaching session where we're going to talk and share and whatnot in the Forge. But this week, I just kind of wanted to share this along with the 75 Hard group as well. Thought all of you guys might get some value out of this. So the book of the month is The 5 Love Languages. If you haven't read this book, you need to check it out. There are numerous versions of this book. I've got my primary version on Kindle, but they've got the 5 love languages for men, 5 love languages for singles, the 5 love languages for children. They probably have the 5 love languages for real estate agents and 5 love languages for dummy and all these other versions. There's a lot of them out there. But the bottom line is there's 5 specific love languages that we have. There are words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, physical touch, and acts of service. And we all have, you may have one primary, but you could also have a close second as well. So you're not just limited to just one, but we all have one of these that we desire for ourselves. And then your significant other, your friends, your family, your children, they all have one as well. And it's important for us to know what these are. So as we receive, we can also give appropriately. Our most basic emotional need is to be genuinely loved and appreciated by another person. That's one of our most basic needs, okay? And the 5 love languages and being able to show your love to your significant other, your partner, your children, is essential. It's essential to making them feel loved, right? And reciprocating that love. And it's important to be able to know how to fill someone's love tank. So all of us, probably most of us in here are probably either married, have been married, have had a significant relationship. And what we all need to know is that when you fall in love with someone, that first 1.5 to 2 years of that in-love feeling, that's usually where people rush off and get married, right? That's becoming more and more common in our society, in our generations. We get married kind of quickly. And then about 1.5 to 2 years, that in-love feeling starts to wane, reality sets in, and that the real you starts to show up more often. And what's highlighted in the book is that in generations past, couples were more willing to roll up the sleeves and do the hard work to keep it together. Whereas in our generation now, we fall out of love and then we start looking somewhere else. And that's why we have the higher divorce rates and whatnot. So the intent of this is to kind of describe the love languages to you and give you some tools, some things to think about. So you can, once you're out of that in love stage with your significant other, you can start to fill each other's love tank. Keeping the emotional love tank is as important as keeping oil in an engine. If you fail to put oil in your engine, it's eventually going to seize up. It's going to lock up, right? And it's the equivalent of tending a garden. If you don't tend it and give the love, your garden's going to end up with weeds in it, right? So, and I've been there. I've had a failed marriage, and I didn't know about these concepts earlier in my life. I think that this should be something that they teach in high school. It should be something taught at a very early age, and it's very simple to do. But understanding the 5 love languages and learning to speak the primary love language of your spouse may radically affect their behavior. Okay. Your spouse's love language may not come natural to you. You may have to actually do some work or go outside, because oftentimes our love languages are not the same. And so we tend to maybe not understand that or fail to realize that. And therefore, we think that we are filling our significant other's emotional love tank. In all reality, we're not, because we're not speaking their love language. Okay. So this is ultimately how intimate lovers can ultimately become enemies, right? And I'm sure if it hasn't happened to you, you probably know somebody that it has happened to. And, some of these very basic concepts we're going to talk about today can help mitigate that. So, all right. So the first one, let me switch here. Give me just a second, is words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. Okay. So these are verbal compliments, and love makes requests. It doesn't make demands. When you demand, you become the parent, and your significant other the child. You become almost like a tyrant. So instead of, if you're making demands and not requests, you're not giving affirmation, and that other person feels belittled, right? So the deepest human need is to feel appreciated. So having words of affirmation, words that make them feel loved, compliment their strengths, is incredibly important. Okay. So a couple of tips to help with words of affirmation, okay, is to daily, compliment your significant other. What is recommended is you could make get a notebook, and write a list of affirmations. You see all these platitudes on social media, or maybe you see or hear someone else compliment someone, maybe in your social circle. You can keep a note, write that down, write down that compliment. And that way when you are struggling of something to say, or want to try to come up with something new to say, you've got like a list. You can also, I know a lot of people that will actually make a list. They've got a file on their notes or an Evernote of affirmations. And these are just kind things to say. So, when you're in the morning, I know a lot of people do this as a daily habit, is when part of their morning routine, they're drinking coffee, they send out some texts of affirmation. This could be something that you could text your significant other, you could say to them. And this could also be used for, your friends and family and your children. Another good thing to do in regards to words of affirmation is compliment your significant other to people around them that are important to them, like maybe their parent or their best friend, with them being present. And then you might get even bonus points if you do it without them there, because ultimately that's going to come back around to her. And that's going to make someone who appreciates words of affirmation, it's going to amplify, because it's coming, you've said that offline to someone that's important to them, and it's getting back around to them. So, giving words of affirmation to your significant other in front of other people and to those people that are important, and it comes back around, is a good tip. Written words. Okay. So just writing a little note, someone that likes words of affirmation really appreciates handwritten notes. And bonus point if you do this in front of other people. So that's words of affirmation. Very simple. Just say something kind and polite, compliment their strengths. On the flip side of this, for someone that has words of affirmation as a primary love language, if you say something negative, something hurtful to them, they're going to take that a little bit worse than the average person. Okay. So there's two sides of this coin. So be very cognizant of that. Okay. All right. So identify your significant other's strengths, compliment those strengths. You can email, text, thank them for something that they typically do routinely, just something like that. So say nice things to your significant other. That's words of affirmation. All right. Second love language is quality time. Spending quality time is engaged time. It's focused attention with the other person. Okay. So sitting in the living room with the TV on, cell phones in the lap, kids running in and out, that doesn't count as quality time. So quality time is focused attention, and it doesn't have to be long periods of time. Something as little as like 15 minutes of just, holding your significant other's hand, looking them in the eyes, right? And just engaging them in conversation. That is quality time. Okay. So living in close proximity, a lot of people live in close proximity, and there's like a roommate situation, and they're not truly engaged. Okay. Cell phones are a problem. TV is a problem. All of these things are distractions that are keeping you from being engaged in that quality time with your significant other. Okay, so be cognizant of that. And some recommendations, some things that you could do is play like board games. I took Lacey down to the coffee shop yesterday, impromptu, like, hey, get in the car. Didn't even tell her where we're going. We went down and got some coffee. We played Battleship. I won, by the way. But we played a game together, and that was awesome because we actually spent, no more than, it was like 45 minutes getting in the car, getting her unplugged from her work for a minute, and going down, having some coffee, and just playing a board game. And that really, it was awesome. Having a picnic, planning a weekend getaway or vacation. I like the book, the Family Boardroom Meeting, because the whole premise of that book is with your children and people that are important to you, you schedule out a 4-hour block of time, no screens. You basically put your phone on airplane mode, and that way you can take selfies and photos, but you're not receiving any calls or texts. And it's a way, and the person that you're doing the boardroom meeting with, they get to plan out the activities. And the only rules are there's no screens. So you're not going to go and watch TV together. You're not going to go watch a movie together. But and you'll be surprised at what that other individual comes up with as far as things to do. You're going to learn a lot about that. It's one-on-one time. I do this with my kids, and I've learned a lot by doing that. Taking a walk together. Taking a walk, you're getting some exercise, and it's a great way to communicate, unplug. It can almost be like a form of meditation, but taking a walk together is something simple activity that you can do to spend quality time. Maintain eye contact when the person is talking. There's nothing more annoying than, you're talking and the other individual's like staring at their cell phone, right? Breaking eye contact because they're not engaged with you. Okay, so put the phone down, turn the TV off, and make eye contact. Be more deliberate about that. Don't listen to your significant other while multitasking. Okay, stop what it is you're doing. Make some eye contact. That's going to be incredibly important to someone that values quality time. And don't interrupt. Men are really bad about this. Sometimes we interrupt. We want to come in and solve the problems. We know exactly what our partners need to do, and we just need to sometimes just shut up. Just shut up and listen. Oftentimes, women are smart. They know what they need to do. They just want someone to listen to. So just shut up and listen. Okay. All right. So that's quality time. Quality time. A couple more bullet points on quality time. Find time to have engaged activities. The ingredients for success for quality time is one person must want to do it. The other person must be willing to do it. And both parties understand why it is that they're doing something. Okay. So quality time, you may not always want to do the activity. You may not be that excited about doing the activity with your significant other, but you're doing it because it means a lot to them. And you're doing it because you're spending quality time with one another. You're expressing love by being engaged in that activity. Okay. So a couple tips, get a list of 5 activities that your significant other would enjoy doing. Okay. 5 activities. And that way you can kind of plan those out ahead of time and know what it is that they like to do. If you're distanced from your partner who values quality time, this often happens, right? You want to spend quality time, but there may be some distance. You can send a photo while you're doing the activity to the individual, and it makes them feel like they're a part of the activity and they're not missing out. Okay, so that's just another pro tip. Plan a weekend getaway, no distractions, put the cell phones away, turn the TV off. Make time each day to talk about the day. Okay, once again, 15 minutes of time, looking at each other, no distractions, no cell phones, no multitasking, engaged eye contact. For someone that values quality time, they would appreciate that. Okay. Another tip is you can do chores together. Okay. So doing activities together, things that need to get done, not multitasking with other things, but just, doing the dishes together, maybe cleaning up the kitchen together, talking. That's a way that you can spend quality time with someone. And then spend time talking about the future, dreams and goals and things of that nature. So that's quality time. All right. The next love language we're going to talk about is gifts. Okay. Gifts are a visual symbol of love, and they don't have to be expensive. On a wedding ceremony, in our culture, we exchange rings. That's a gift from one party to the other to express love, right? Gifts come in all sizes and shapes, but they don't have to be necessarily expensive. People that value gifts, you could go for a walk and pick up some wildflowers or a rock or stone or something, and if you give it to that person and tell them why you're giving it to them, they're going to feel loved. That's why people like scrapbooking. They have these moments of time, and they appreciate the moments. They create these scrapbooks because it's a memory, and it's a form of like gifting. And a great way to just keep a notebook of gift ideas. That way, when it's time for birthdays or holidays or whatever, those are times that we give gifts. But you can also randomly give gifts to someone that likes gifts. Maybe on a monthly or weekly basis. Keep track of something that they're interested in, because they're going to note that you've paid attention to them, right? So if they say, hey, they liked something, they had a friend that liked this gadget or gizmo or purse or whatever it was, take note of that. You can get that gift for them later, and they're going to acknowledge the fact that you actually paid attention to them and listen to them. So gifts, pretty straightforward on the gifts, right? That one's probably one of the easiest ones to do. But for someone that values it, you've got to gift a little bit more, okay? Probably more than you do. All right. Physical touch, okay? So physical touch makes a person feel secure. And studies have shown that babies that were held more, touched more, in that all important early development stage, they have healthier emotional stability. So now, physical touch is not the same, especially for men. Men like physical touch, right? We're a little bit more. Everyone likes sex, right? But a common response when you ask men what their love language is, they're going to say physical touch, because they value sex more probably than females do, because of the physical nature of what men require. Okay, but be cognizant of the fact that females, their emotional love tank needs to be full. They're going to be more apt to want intimate contact with one another. Some ways that you can express physical touch is holding hands, touching your partner on the small of the back or on the shoulder. Do this in front of people, like if you're out, friends and family gatherings and things of that nature, touching them, just hand on the shoulder. They really appreciate that. You're showing love in front of people that they value. And then if you're having, if there's long distances involved, handwritten letters are incredibly important to someone who values physical touch, because you physically wrote the letter. It's something that they can hold on to. They can touch it. An article of clothing, wearing like a T-shirt or something of like that. I know Sam, my daughter, her love language is physical touch. She likes to have like items, like things that are really soft. So getting someone that values physical touch, a gift of something that feels nice, like cashmere or something soft, they feel loved by that, because they like the physical touch of that. So, all right. Acts of service. The final love language is acts of service. So these are doing things that that your spouse would like you to do. Oftentimes, these are like chore type items. Okay, could be cooking, laundry, paying bills, changing a diaper, or vacuuming. And what it says is that I was thinking about you, and oftentimes like the significant other could be, out doing a grocery run or something like that. And you come home and you do that task or chore that that they want you to do. And basically what you're saying is, I'm thinking about you even though that you're not here. I'm doing something for you. It's an act of service to you to fill your love language. Now, oftentimes what happens is, someone that values acts of service, you're doing all these things around the house, and it still may not fill that person's love tank, because you're not doing the right thing. So you need to communicate with your significant other and find out what acts of service are more meaningful. What are some of the more meaningful things to do? So you're not doing all this work, like, washing the windows and washing the car, things that aren't filling the tank, because she would prefer you to do the laundry or vacuum the floor or change the diaper. Okay, so make sure that you're doing the right tasks. Okay, but you're basically serving that individual, and serving you're serving them something that they care about. Okay, so communicate with your significant other if acts of service is their number one primary love language, and find out what are the tasks that they would want you to do. Okay, and so one of the pro tips that's in the book is ask your spouse for a list, a to-do list, to do over the next 30 days, and enumerate them in importance, 1 through 10, okay, on what you should do. And then you just check off that list in order of importance, okay? When your significant other away, get the kids to help, and then you can surprise them when they come home. So say your significant other is going to go do a grocery run, get your kids together, do those tasks that are meaningful to her, and then, just come home, hey, surprise, we did all this stuff for you, and that's going to really fill someone of that values acts of service, their love tank. Okay, and when your significant other is away, maybe on a business trip or taking a weekend getaway with friends, you can do those tasks that they value, and you can take a photo and send it to them, and that's how you can fill someone's love tank over a distance. Take a photo of actually doing that, and you're going to remind them that, hey, I was thinking about you while you were gone, and this is why. So just be conscious of the fact everyone has different love languages. You may not speak the same love language. It's often very common to not have the same love language. You're gonna have to be deliberate about taking action steps each and every day. This is your significant other, the person that's most important to you. You should be doing something every day to fill the love tank. Okay, so once again, just to highlight the 5 love languages: words of affirmation, say nice things; quality time, quality, deliberate time with the person. Okay, this is focused, not close proximity, engaged, focused time. Gifts, actually giving someone a present, and once again, it doesn't have to be expensive. But it's something that's meaningful, that has a level of meaning. It could be wildflowers, it could be a rock, a stone, it could be just a simple little note or something like that. Something simple, right? Something just saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. Physical touch, touching the other person makes them feel secure, makes them feel loved. Okay, and it could be holding hands, it could be just touching them on the small of the back, it could be a variety of different things, touching their hair or whatever. I don't have hair, so don't have to worry about that with me, Lacey. All right, and then acts of service, doing things that the other person values. This is just serving that other person, right? So those are the five love languages. So what happens? Just a reminder, how intimate lovers become mortal enemies. This happens to a lot of people. It's because we're not being deliberate about filling the love tank. Okay, so you need to know your partner's love language, and it could be more than one, and be deliberate about filling that love tank. Once again, if it's the equivalent of oil in an engine. If you don't have, if you're not filling up that love tank, the engine's going to seize up, right? So let's see here. See if we got more notes here. Oh yeah, I got a few questions for you. So a few prompting questions. Okay. So what is your love language? What is your love language? What makes you feel loved above all else? So what are the things that make you feel loved above all else? Is it somebody saying something kind to you, words of affirmation? Is it spending quality time with someone that you care about? Is it receiving a gift? Is it someone physically touching you? Is it an act of service? So what makes you feel loved above all else? How does your significant other respond when you try and show affection? Okay. What is their love language? Sometimes our love language, we're trying to speak our love language, what we want to those other people, and it's not the same. So although you feel that you're showing love, you're words of affirmation, you're saying kind things, they want the physical touch because that's their love language. Okay. So say nice things. Do it while you're holding their hand, touch them. So you got to know what their love language is, because you're gonna default to your primary love language because that's what you want. That may not be what's necessarily going to fill your partner's love tank. We talked about the first 2 years in a relationship, that's where we're in love. That's where we're euphoric. That's where we're floating on cloud nine. But eventually, at about 18 months, 2 years is where reality starts to set in. So can you pinpoint a time in your relationship where that reality set in? And how did this affect your relationship? Okay. Once again, I mentioned earlier, what's all too common in our society now is that, we're out of love. So I guess it's time to go find another partner to get that feeling, because that feeling is very powerful. It makes you do crazy things. You're happy, you're elated. You start thinking you have all these chemicals, all this dopamine and whatnot in your mind, and you're not thinking clearly when you're in that love obsession period. And eventually that wanes. Then it's time to roll up your sleeve, and the enduring love that you're going to have for that individual is doing the love languages, speaking each other's love languages and showing each other love and affection on a regular basis. Okay. What would you like most for your spouse to say or do, or what would be most important to you? What would really fill your love tank? And whatever that is, you need to communicate that to your significant other, because they're not mind readers. They need to know what would really fuel your love tank. Okay. What does your partner fail to do that hurts you so deeply? Okay. Is there something that your partner does that hurts you? And do they know this? Are they aware of this? Are you communicating that? The opposite of what truly hurts you is likely in line with your love language. Okay. Once again, like I said earlier, if you're a words of affirmation person and someone curses at you, it's gonna hurt you very deeply. Okay. If you're a physical touch person and someone hits you, it's gonna feel a lot worse to you. Okay. It's amplified. The opposite is amplified. And then in what ways do you regularly express love to your spouse? And then do you know what your love language is of your children? So if you don't know what your love language is, this is going to be the homework assignment for those that are in the Forge. And I would encourage you, if you're not in the Forge and you want to do this, I'll put the website in here. It's the www.5lovelanguages.com quizzes. Add that banner right there. Boom, can you see it? Right there. All right. 5lovelanguages.com/quizzes. You can take a quiz. There's 4 quizzes in there. So there's a quiz for couples. There's a quiz for children. There's a quiz for teens. And if you're single, there's a quiz for singles. All right. So homework assignment is to take each one of these quizzes, and you need to know what your significant other's love language is. You need to know what your love language is. And then those in your immediate family, if you have children, you should know what their love languages are. That way you know how to speak their language. And I would encourage you to speak this language, try it for 30 days, really engage and be deliberate about the love language and see if the dynamic of the relationship doesn't improve significantly. Especially if you're in the book, it gives an example of basically a marriage that wasn't going so well, almost to a point of they were, mortal enemies. And if you or someone is experiencing that, I would highly recommend that chapter, because it talks about identifying that other person's love language. And the challenge was to do something each and every day for the next 6 months, despite every fiber of your being telling you not to do it because that person was in so much pain, and to see if it moved the needle on the relationship. And ultimately it did, because when you're receiving love, when someone is speaking your love language, you're going to start and begin to reciprocate love to the other person. Okay. So even if someone that's having a challenging or a tough time in the relationship, that it works. Okay. So, all right. So that's a quick overview of the book, The 5 Love Languages. In the group next week, for the group, we're going to talk about, we're going to answer some of these, the quiz questions, because I'd like to know what your love language is, what your significant other's love languages is, what are the love languages of your kids, and then we'll answer a series of questions. And if you haven't picked up the book, this is definitely a must read. This is something I've read a couple times. It's one of those books that you want to pick up once a year just to get a refresher on. It's a quick read, only 200 pages. And everyone has a love language, okay? And you need to be able to speak the love language, identify your own, but realize other people have different love languages from yourself, and that you need to be able to speak their language if you want to fill their cup. The number one, the deepest desire of everyone is to feel loved and appreciated, okay? And understanding the love language is a fundamental way of doing that. So, guys, I hope this served you well. If you have any comments, I see someone's watching. If you have any comments, post below. Any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those for you. And if you're watching up until this point, I really appreciate it. This is Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm hoping that, I know it's a crazy year, I'm hoping you're able to spend time with some of your loved ones. If nothing else, if you're not traveling and maybe you're spending time with your significant other and the minions in your household, spend some good quality time with them. And I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to come in and do this. I really enjoy this, and I hope you're able to get some value from this. So, all right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for today. The 5 love languages. And if you're not in the Forge, love to have you. We're growing a tribe and community there to double down on personal development, and it is slowly growing. And we'd love to have you part of the conversation there. My goal for that community is to continue to grow and then develop small teams and basically create a tribe, a place where we can confide in one another, hold each other accountable, have real conversation about life. You can have conversations with a lot of people, but people that are dedicated to personal development, that want to level up in all areas of their life, and basically create that safe space. What happens in the Forge stays in the Forge. And you can go to a lot of other free groups online and get a lot of bad advice. This is a place where we can hold each other accountable, celebrate our wins, celebrate our losses, or talk about our losses and try to come up with ways to overcome our challenges. And so that's what we're all about in there. So love to have you if you're not in there. But have a great Thanksgiving, and look forward to talking to you guys soon. For those that are doing 75 hard, today's Craig's last day. I hope he doesn't screw this up. He's going to be going right into the final phase. I don't start my final phase until the 20th of December because I started later in the year, and you've got to do it in the last 30 days of the calendar year. So I'm excited about finishing it, finishing 2020 strong. And it's been awesome. So if you haven't, I know a lot of people have done the initial 75. Are you going to be doing the 75 again next year? Is what I'd like to know. And if so, when? Pro tip. Don't, hey, how you doing? Pro tip, if you start 75 hard on January 1st, you'll be doing the final phase on December. So your holidays will be spent taking cold showers, reading books, doing a lot of tasks day in and day out, like Craig is going to be doing. So it'll be interesting to see. Although it's not bad, just take note of that. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Great to have you on board. And we'll talk to you guys later.